tell us about Touch. What is it all about?
Well, it was created by a writer by the name of Tim Kring, who created Heroes, and it is based on a Chinese fable called the Red Thread. And the red thread is for all of the people that are supposed to come in contact with each other over the course of a lifetime. They're loosely connected by a red thread around the ankle. And this thread can stretch and it can bend, but it cannot break. And somehow in our society we have broken it. And my son basically is deeply evolved past the normal human being and can see patterns in numbers that he can kind of almost forecast the future, and he uses me to kind of realign people in their lives through his own misdirection, and tries to regain this thread, if you will. And so the center of the story is this relationship between a father and his special needs son who has been misdiagnosed with severe autism. And just whatever is happening in their life has a ripple effect. Almost if you throw a rock into a pond, the ripples get larger and larger as they make their way to the bank.
Has it made you more aware of the connectivity in your own life?
Yeah, in a frightening way. I mean, at some point I got, you know, should I get on this elevator or should I not get on this elevator?
Yeah.
Maybe if I got the next elevator, something better would happen. And I became hyperly aware of it. I think on some level you have to let it go and just kind of get on with your life. But there was something very empowering about the script for me, to believe that everything that we do actually matters and that there is a consequence for it. Made me somehow feel more important.
Is that what attracted you to the role? Because it's a very different role to the Jack Bauer role, which most people are
It's what attracted me to the overall idea. Ultimately, what attracted me to the role was the dynamic between this father and his son, and his effort to communicate with his son. His son cannot speak. His son cannot be touched. And in kind of the slight research that I did, and the parents that I met of special needs children, I found an unbelievable kind of courage that every day they wake up knowing the circumstance is not going to change, and yet they manage to go and every parent desires what we have considered to be an atypical, normal relationship between they and their children. These people do not have that.
It's been previewed in America, but it's having an international premiere, which is very unusual.
Well, it's the first time it's ever been done. So what I find so exciting about that is that because it will air around the world, I think everywhere but Asia, which will be a few months later, that someone in Africa will be able to have a conversation with someone in Belgium if they're watching the show, and they'll be able to talk about what they like about it, or where they wish it would go in a different direction. And I think that that's a really, really exciting possibility.
It fits with the whole theme of the connectivity, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And we've got this amazing image of this phone hopping as this mobile phone goes around and gets picked up, and those huge images that appear on the screen of all these different people who have come into contact with this phone.
Mm-hmm.
It's a real symbol, really, of that central theme.
Well, and again, it's the interconnectivity. As much as we kind of really glorify and love the different cultures and languages and everything else that the world has, on a communicative level, we've become unbelievably small. And so that it is very feasible that whatever anybody is doing at any given point in their life will have a trickle-down effect around the world.
How hard was it to pick a role to follow 24? Because that was hugely influential. You spent 8 years as Jack Bauer.
Mm-hmm.
How do you move on from that?
Well, I would say the role picked me. I was doing a play on Broadway, and someone had sent me the script, and I had asked what it was, and they said it's Touch. It was written by Tim Kring, and it's a television show. And I said, well, no, I don't want to do a television show. Just did 24 for the last 10 years, and there were a couple other things I wanted to do. And they said, well, Peter Chernin is producing it, who was the head of 20th Century Fox when we started 24. And out of respect to both of those men, I thought, okay, well, I'll read it. It was around page 32 that I went, oh no. It was just that good. And I knew I was going to want to do it. And then I thought, well, there's 40 more pages, maybe it'll fall apart. And it didn't. It just got better and better. And it was one of those things where I just knew I wasn't going to be comfortable watching it on the sidelines, that this was something I was going to want to be a part of, successful or not. It was so beautifully written that you really want to take a chance and try and help this become realized.
Do you feel content doing television, or do you feel, again, to get back into film, to chase an Oscar or something like that?
No, I think to work like that would be a terrible mistake. I don't even think of the difference in the mediums. I think television is interesting, and certainly my experience with 24 was that you can really get involved with a character over that long a period of time. And if you take a look at Jack Bauer in season 1 and Jack Bauer in season 8, they're very different men. The character changes and evolves, but on much smaller levels than you would maybe from film to film. But I do like to work, and if you can find a story like this one in Touch that is going to give you the kind of range that this character will be allowed to have over the course of time in a series like that, it's something that, yeah, for me personally, I really enjoy.
We're running out of time, but just very briefly, 24 the film, where are we at with that?
Well, we're very close. We have a phenomenal script, and right now we're talking to different filmmakers about their availability. We finished Touch, and we have a very small window before we would start the next season of Touch, and so we're trying to wedge it in there, and I'm still very optimistic that we'll be able to do it.